What? And she told you, just like that? I'm a safe pair of ears. But now that Stephen's dead, she's worried that word will get back to the first wife and her 2 sons. Secrets have a habit of breaking loose when there's a death. That would rock all sorts of boats, especially for her precious son, who would be exceedingly upset, apparently. Thea gave this some thought. He'd be very angry as well, probably, especially with her for keeping the existence of half-brothers hidden from him. I know I would be. She scowled at the very idea. What a coward she must be. Hey, that's a bit strong. She says Stephen made her swear never to mention it when Lawrence was born, and she stuck with it. She's quite proud of herself, I think. So, the man never saw his older sons in all that time? Her outrage was still all too evident. How is that possible in this day and age? Drew shrugged. Good question. He finished the coffee and stood up. Anyway, can't stop. Mr. Fleming tomorrow, 9:30 sharp. The birdsong one? That's him. They had enjoyed this particular customer more than most when it came to planning the funeral. Mr. Fleming, deceased, had been avid about birds, and had insisted that his burial take place to the sound of their song. Dying at the beginning of May had been a bonus, but, as Thea had pointed out, they sing loudest at about 5 a.m. You'll have to be out there pretty early. Mrs. Fleming, being a woman of pragmatic character, had refused to consider anything sooner than 9:30. They won't sing at all if it's raining, she said. These things are clearly impossible to control. If it's a fine day, there'll be very nice early sunshine, and most likely some sort of birdsong, even if it's only collared doves. Drew, who lived to serve, had worried. What if I bring a CD player for backup? He suggested. There are sure to be some discs of birds available. Well, if you like, the widow agreed. But I'm not sure that's what Dickie had in mind. To be perfectly frank, it's enough for me that he died thinking it would all go as he wanted it to. He imagined the whole thing in advance, and that made him happy. What we actually do on the day isn't terribly relevant when you stop to think about it. Drew was never quite sure how to handle this kind of scepticism. Any lack of consideration for the rituals of death made him uneasy. You still think the dead person's hovering over you, watching what goes on, Thea accused him, don't you? Not exactly, he prevaricated, but it feels wrong to risk it just in case. This elicited a laugh that was more affectionate than mocking. You're a one, she told him. But they both knew that Drew had a comprehensive understanding of most of the emotional and cultural significances of a funeral. He regularly knew better than the families themselves what were the essential elements that should not be fudged or overlooked. Primary amongst these essentials was a recognition that the person concerned had gone and was not coming back. This was followed closely by a similar recognition that the same thing was going to happen to everybody else in the family, and it therefore behoved them to do as they would be done by. The dead were acutely vulnerable to disrespect and calumny, which explained the taboo against speaking ill of them. Whether grieving the loss or celebrating the life, or ideally both, there were certain truths that Drew would not allow to be dodged. He never said, passed away, never avoided referring directly to the body, and never carelessly agreed to any overriding of the dead person's wishes. And in the case of Mr. James Fleming, always known as Dickie, he very much hoped that some obliging birds would sing spectacularly in the trees above the newly dug grave. But the matter of the Biddle family, or families, to be strictly accurate, was a whole other worry. Thea's offer to shoulder the burden of blatant lying was of very little comfort. Her involvement in the burial business was capricious at the best of times. At the outset, he'd assumed that she would step efficiently into the shoes of his first assistant, Mags Cooper.